I wasn't looking for anything. My car had been in the shop for 2 days already, and my brother tossed me the keys to his old Camry without thinking twice. "Just don't leave it on empty," he said, half laughing. I didn't think twice either. I just needed to get to work. But when I opened the door, something caught my eye. It wasn't big, just a flash of red, wedged down in that awkward space between the passenger seat and the center console. I leaned over, reached in, and pulled it out. A tube of lipstick, red, bright, bold. It looked familiar. Too familiar. At first, I laughed to myself. "Must be from one of his Tinder dates," I mumbled, tossing it onto the passenger seat. I didn't think much of it until I glanced at it again at a red light. MAC, Ruby Woo. My stomach dropped. I know that shade. I know it because she wore it on our anniversary. 2 months ago. I remember the way she pouted in the mirror before dinner, how she teased, "Is this too much?" And I said, "You look danger-rousing. I like dangerous." She said she lost that lipstick on a weekend trip with her friends. Hotel room, somewhere in Austin. She even looked upset about it. "I loved that one," she said, digging through her bag, swearing it had just vanished. "So what the hell was it doing in my brother's car?" I gripped the steering wheel tighter. My throat got dry. You ever have that moment where the puzzle pieces click together in your head, but you're praying begging you're wrong? That was me. Right there at a stoplight, heart thumping so loud I could barely hear the traffic. I picked it up again, turned it in my hand. Scratched cap. A smudge on the base. Her smudge? I called my brother. "Hey, quick question, did anyone else borrow your car this week?" I tried to sound casual, but my voice cracked halfway through. He paused. Just you, bro." "Oh wait. Actually, Eric took it Friday night, just for a few hours. He had some issue with his car and didn't want to Uber." Eric. I didn't even realize I'd stopped breathing. Eric is her co-worker, the one she swears is just a little annoying. The one she laughs about, says she can't stand his cologne, says he's too into crypto or whatever. Eric is the guy she went on that group hang with last weekend. The one she didn't post about. The one she brushed off with a shrug and said, "It was nothing, just drinks." My hands were shaking now. I ended the call, turned off the music, and just sat in silence. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe it was someone else's lipstick. Maybe it wasn't even hers. Maybe, but my gut wouldn't shut up. My gut was screaming. Because deep down, I knew. I knew that color. I knew that scratch on the cap. I knew that if I checked her bathroom drawer right now, that lipstick would still be missing. And suddenly, that missing lipstick didn't feel like a random accident anymore. It felt like a breadcrumb I wasn't supposed to find. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I didn't say a word. I just drove. And the whole time, that damn lipstick sat there next to me, burning a hole through the seat cushion. I didn't know it yet, but that tiny red tube was the first crack in everything I thought was solid. You know what the sickest part is? There was a time I would have taken a bullet for her. No hesitation. We met at my best friend's housewarming party. It was loud, humid, too many people packed into one tiny apartment. I was leaning over the sink, trying to open a bottle of wine with a broken corkscrew, when she walked in and said, "That's not how you do it." I looked up, red curls, black boots, confidence in every step. "Be my guest," I said, handing her the bottle. She smirked, took it from me, and used a shoe to pop the cork out. I swear, just slammed it against the wall at the perfect angle. Wine exploded a little, and we both laughed like idiots. That was it. I don't even remember what we talked about that night, just how easy it felt. Like we'd known each other for years. She stole a slice of pizza off my plate. I didn't complain. I offered her my hoodie when she said it was cold, even though I was freezing. Dumb stuff. But it meant everything in that moment. After that, we were inseparable. She'd send me memes at 2 a.m., and if I didn't reply in 30 seconds, she'd follow up with, "Excuse me, sir?" She'd talk about how she wanted to adopt a dog once she had her own place, how she hated small talk, how she cried watching Pixar movies but laughed during horror films. And man, I loved that about her. She was real, raw, messy, but magnetic. I'd never dated someone who made me feel so seen. I remember the first time she stayed over. It wasn't even supposed to happen. Her roommate had a fight with her boyfriend, and things got loud. She texted, "Can I crash at your place?" and showed up 20 minutes later with a toothbrush and a hoodie that wasn't mine. We stayed up all night talking. No sex. Just her head on my chest and our hands tangled like we were afraid the night would steal us apart. By the third month, I knew I was falling for her. We started sharing playlists, grocery shopping together, cooking dinner on Sundays and watching crime shows we'd pretend to solve before the detectives did. I remember thinking, this is it. I found my person. My friends noticed it too, said I smiled more, said I seemed grounded. Even when she got that new job, higher pay, bigger office, longer hours, I was proud of her. She worked her ass off for that promotion. Yeah, it meant she came home late some nights. Sometimes she was too tired to talk, but I got it. I backed her 100%. I made sacrifices for her. Dropped out of a guy's trip to Mexico just to stay home when she said she didn't want to be alone that week. Helped her look for apartments closer to work. Even built a shelf she ordered off Amazon and pretended it didn't take me 2 hours in a YouTube tutorial. Because that's what you do when you love someone, right? You give. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when it costs you time, sleep, money, whatever. You give because you believe they'd do the same for you. At least, I thought she would. But now, looking back, really looking there, were these quiet moments. These tiny pauses in her voice when I'd ask how her day was. The way she stopped reaching for my hand in public. How she started saying me more than we. They didn't feel like red flags at the time. Just static. Background noise. But the more I remember, the more I realize how long the signal had been fading. Still, none of that mattered when I looked at her. I was all in. That's why the lipstick hit so hard. Because before everything fell apart, I genuinely thought she was my forever. It didn't happen all at once. That's the thing people don't get. Cheating doesn't come crashing through the front door. It slips in through the cracks. Quiet, subtle. Like a draft you don't notice until you're freezing. It started small. She stopped sending me playlists. I know that sounds dumb, but that was our thing. Random 3 a.m. songs with a message like, "This made me think of you." Suddenly, nothing. I brought it up once, half joking. "Did Spotify ban you or something?" She smiled, but her eyes didn't. "Just been busy." Busy. That word started showing up more and more. "Can't talk right now, busy with reports." "Sorry, I missed dinner. Client meeting ran late." "Didn't hear my phone buzz?" "It's been a crazy day." One time, I called twice in a row, no answer. Then I saw she just posted a story at a rooftop bar with some coworkers. Champagne. Laughter. No tag on anyone. I asked her about it. "Oh," she said, shrugging. "That was last week. I just posted it late." She was lying. I knew it. But he didn't push. Instead, I said, "Cool," and changed the subject. That's what I did a lot back then. Swallowed the doubt. Let it sit in my gut. Told myself I was overthinking. I didn't want to be that guy. The jealous one. The insecure one. The guy who snoops through her phone while she's in the shower. She hated that kind of thing. She always said, "If there's no trust, there's no point." So I trusted her. Even when she started putting her phone on Do Not Disturb at night, even when she began getting random calls from work during our weekends together, even when she changed her phone password. "You changed your code?" I asked once. "Yeah," she said casually. "It said we needed stronger ones." I nodded, said nothing. But that night, I stared at her screen while she slept, trying to guess it. I didn't, and I felt disgusting for trying. Still, something in me kept scratching at the door, like the night she came home smelling like his cologne. Not mine, his. I didn't even know it was his until I visited her office for lunch one day and he walked by me. Eric. Tall, charming, smug. Wore that same sharp woody cologne, and I thought, that's it. That's the scent. I brought it up later, as carefully as I could. "Did you borrow a guy's jacket or something?" I asked. "You smelled like..." She cut me off. "What the hell, are you sniffing me now?" "No, I just noticed," I said. She rolled her eyes. "Jesus, you're being weird." I laughed it off, said I was just teasing. But inside, I felt myself splitting in half. There was the version of me who trusted her, who remembered our midnight walks, her sleepy voice whispering, "I love you," in the dark. Then there was the version of me who was watching her become someone I didn't recognize. The smiles she gave her phone, but not me. The nights she crashed at a friend's place after office parties. The way she'd zone out when I talked like I was background noise. I started keeping track. I wrote things down. Dates, times, excuses, not because I wanted to catch her, but because I needed proof that I wasn't going crazy. Because every time I said something felt off, she'd flip it. "You're just overthinking. You always do this when I'm doing well. Why can't you just be happy for me? And I believed her, or tried to, until one night, she left her Apple Watch charging in the bathroom. I saw a notification pop up. A message from E. Just the preview. Last night was amazing. Missed your mouth already. My hands went cold. She walked in behind me a second later, towel around her shoulders. E didn't even look at you. I just handed her the watch and said, "You got a message." She froze for a second then smiled. "Thanks, babe." That was it. Just, thanks. And I nodded. Like an idiot. Like I didn't just read something that made my entire chest cave in. I didn't confront her. Not yet. But I didn't sleep much after that night with the Apple Watch. I kept replaying that message in my head. Last night was amazing. Miss your mouth already. It echoed every time she smiled at me. Every time she kissed my cheek. Every time she curled up next to me like we were still us. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living with a stranger. And then, the lipstick. That stupid red tube in my brother's car cracked everything wide open. My hands were still shaking when I pulled into the gas station. I sat there with the engine running, the lipstick on the passenger seat, and my mind racing through 100 possibilities. What were the chances it wasn't hers? Maybe Eric had a girlfriend. Maybe it was hers. Maybe this was all one giant, cosmic misunderstanding. So I did the thing no one wants to admit they've done. I opened her Instagram. She hadn't posted in days. Nothing since a black and white quote about self-care from a week ago. But I remembered she'd been tagged in someone else's story the weekend before one of those late office hangs she said was nothing special. I tapped the tag. The story was gone. Expired. But I wasn't giving up. I scrolled through our mutuals. Found Kayla, her coworker, who always overposted everything. Looked through her highlights. Team night out. Jackpot. There it was. A short clip. Music in the background. Flashing lights. A group laughing and piling into a car. I paused the video. And there she was. My girlfriend. In the back seat of my brother's car. Leaning her head on Eric's shoulder. She didn't even look drunk. She looked comfortable. Like this wasn't new. Like this was normal. And then I saw it. Barely lit by the street lamp. But clear as day. Her lips. That same red lipstick. The same one she said she lost in Austin. The same one I just found under Eric's borrowed seat. I zoomed in. I stared. Until my eyes watered. It was hers. It had to be. I remember just laughing. Not because it was funny. It was more like my body didn't know what else to do. My heart was racing, my palms sweaty, but I was just sitting there laughing like a man who'd completely lost his grip on reality. I texted my brother. "Hey, when exactly did Eric borrow your car again?" He replied fast. "Friday night? 7-ish till maybe midnight? Why?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the screen. Friday night. That was the night she told me she was crashing early from migraine. She didn't even video call like we usually did. Just a short voice message. "Love you, babe. I feel like crap. I'm sleeping it off." But she wasn't asleep. She was out with him, wearing the lipstick I'd bought her for her birthday, sitting in my brother's car, leaning on another man like I didn't exist, and I'd told her to rest. I even sent her a DoorDash order so she wouldn't have to cook. I remember texting, "Soup's on the way. Hope you feel better." She replied, "You're the sweetest. Thank you." That heart emoji hit different now, like poison dressed up as love. I didn't know what to do with all of it. The messages, the video, the lipstick, the lies. I wasn't ready to confront her yet, not because I was scared, but because I didn't trust myself to stay calm. I was angry. But deeper than that, I was hurt. She didn't just cheat. She built a second life behind my back. I started connecting dots I'd ignored, like how she suddenly stopped wanting to take selfies together, how she flinched once when I tried to take her phone to cue up music, how she always locked the bathroom door late even when just brushing her teeth. It all came together in one giant stomach-twisting knot. I went home, threw the lipstick into a drawer, and opened my notes app. I wrote everything down. Friday night, Eric borrowed the car. Same night, she said migraine. Same night, Kayla posted story. Backseat, lipstick, Eric, everything. Every detail. I made a folder. Screenshotted texts. Saved the video. Backed it all up to my laptop. Because deep down, I already knew what was coming next. This wasn't going to be a conversation. This was going to be the end of something I gave my entire heart to. And the scariest part? She had no idea I knew. That was the night I stopped pretending I didn't know. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying every kiss, every "I love you," every quiet lie she told with a smile. By morning I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things or beg for answers. I just wanted to see how far she'd go to protect the lie. I texted her, "Wanna come over tonight? I'll cook." She replied within minutes, "Oh, yes, please. Been craving your garlic pasta." She had no idea. I spent the day cleaning, not the house, my mind, making peace with the fact that I wasn't crazy, that my instincts were right all along, that the person I trusted most had been looking me in the eyes and lying. She showed up around 7, dressed down in a hoodie and leggings, hair tied up in a messy bun. She looked tired but relaxed. "Smells amazing," she said, dropping her bag by the door. "God, I missed this." I nodded. "Yeah, been a while." We sat. We ate. I don't even remember the taste. I just watched her, noticed how easily she smiled, how she avoided eye contact when I asked, "How was your week?" "Oh, the usual," she said, twirling her fork. "Busy. Boring. Long meetings." I leaned back in my chair. "Nothing interesting happened Friday night?" She blinked, just for a split second, then smiled. "Oh yeah, I think we had a little happy hour thing. Nothing big. I left early." "Left early?" "Migraine," she said without hesitation. "Told you, remember?" I nodded slowly. "Right. You went home." I stood up, walked over to the drawer, and pulled out the lipstick. Her face dropped. I held it between 2 fingers and asked quietly, "Is this yours?" She looked at it, looked at me. "Where did you find that?" "In my brother's car. After Eric borrowed it." Dead silence. Then she laughed. Laughed. Like it was some rom-com misunderstanding. "Okay, wow. You really think I'm cheating because you found a lipstick in a car?" "No," I said. "I think you're cheating because I saw a video. You, in the back seat, with Eric, wearing this." Her jaw clenched. Her eyes darted. "I don't know what you think you saw." "I saw enough," I interrupted. She pushed back from the table. "Are you serious right now? You lied to my face." "I didn't lie. She stopped, swallowed. "Okay, look. Yes, we were out. Yes, I had a couple drinks. But nothing happened." "Nothing happened?" "No!" Her voice cracked. "It was just, I don't know. It was a stupid night, and I didn't want to fight with you, so I didn't tell you. I knew you'd overreact. So you let me send you soup while you were in another man's car." She didn't say anything. I stared at her, waiting, hoping for something. Regret. Truth. Anything real. But all she said was, "I can't believe you went through my stuff." "Your stuff?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean my brother's car?" She stepped forward. "Why are you acting like this? You're being so dramatic." "Dramatic?" I repeated. She crossed her arms. "You've always had control issues, you know that? Always needing to know everything. It's exhausting." And that was it. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I messed up." Not even a pathetic lie to try and salvage what was left. Just blame. Projection. Deflection. I stood there, completely still, and then I said the only words I could manage. "You need to leave." "What?" She blinked. "Get your stuff. Leave." "You're seriously doing this right now? Over one stupid?" "Over all of it," I said. Calm, cold. "I deserve better, and you know it." She stared at me for a long time. Her eyes filled with something I couldn't tell if it was guilt or just panic at losing control. She walked to the door, then turned back. "You're never going to find someone who loves you like I did." I nodded once. "Good." She slammed the door so hard the walls shook. I stood in the silence. Just me, my breath, my heartbeat. It was over. But I hadn't even told her what I did next. I didn't rag. I didn't post some dramatic Instagram story, didn't trash her name in group chats. That's not how I move. Instead, I went quiet, because silence? That's louder than any scream. The night she left, I didn't touch anything. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom, her hair tie on the nightstand. But I didn't bag it up or throw it out. I just let it sit there like evidence at a crime scene. The next morning, I opened my laptop. Folder was still there. Screenshots. Voice messages. That paused Instagram story showing her in the back seat, head on Eric's shoulder. The lipstick. The message on her Apple Watch. All of it. Neat. Labeled. Organized. I zipped it into a file, wrote a short email, and sent it to myself with the subject line, "Just in case." Because I didn't need revenge for revenge's sake. I needed protection for the version of me that loved her. For the version of me that might one day miss her. I knew better now. Later that week, I sent a single text to her mother. Hey, I just want you to know I cared about your daughter. A lot. But I can't be in a relationship where honesty's optional. Please don't get involved. But I thought you deserved to hear it from me before the rumors. She replied an hour later. I'm so sorry. You've always been good to her. You don't deserve this. That meant more than I expected. Then came Eric. I didn't have to do much. A mutual friend from her office had already suspected something. I just gave them a gentle push. Didn't realize Eric was that close with her. Looks like they've been hanging out a lot. The friend responded, Wait, what? I left it at that. No name dropping. No screenshots. I just let curiosity do the work. 2 days later, someone from HR reached out to her for a professional conduct review. I didn't dig for details, but I saw the LinkedIn update a few weeks later she was moved to a different department. Eric's promotion? It got delayed. I didn't smile, didn't celebrate, but I did sleep better that night. Then I blocked her. Everywhere. Instagram. Gone. WhatsApp. Muted. Then blocked. Phone? Straight to voicemail. Email? Filtered to trash. She tried to get through. Of course she did. A burner number. Please, can we talk? I miss you. Imada mistake. Please just call me. I never answered. Not once, because the second I responded, she'd know she still had power. And I was done handing her that. I focused on me. Picked up my gym routine again. Started journaling at night, nothing poetic. Just thoughts. Real, raw stuff. I even went out with friends. Laughed for the first time in what felt like months. They noticed. Dude, my best friend said one night, you look different. I feel different, I replied, because I did. Not healed. Not yet. But free. And that was enough for now. The last time I saw her was 2 months later, in a parking lot outside a grocery store. She froze when she saw me. No makeup. Hair messy. Eyes tired. She gave me a half smile. Started to walk over. Didn't stop. Didn't slow down. Didn't wave. Didn't even blink. Just got in my car and drove off like she was just another stranger with a cart full of regrets. And the lipstick? Still in the drawer. Not because I can't throw it away, but because sometimes you need a reminder of who not to trust again. The silence was the hardest part. Not her absence. Not even the betrayal. Just the silence. For weeks after it all ended, my apartment felt like an empty hotel room. Too clean. Too still. Every corner of it still had her fingerprints, figuratively and literally. The hoodie she used to steal from me? Still hanging on the back of the chair. Her coffee mug? Still in the cabinet. The playlist we made together? Still on autoplay. Until I had to delete it. Couldn't take hearing our songs anymore. It's weird what you start to notice when someone's gone. The dent in the couch, where she used to sit cross-legged. The hairpin under the rug I kept forgetting to throw out. The smell of her shampoo lingering on my pillow for far too long. Some nights, I'd catch myself reaching for my phone just to text her something random like a meme or a stupid joke we'd both laugh at. Then I'd stop halfway, stare at the screen, and put it down. She tried contacting me again. From different numbers. From her work email. Even sent a card to my building handwritten. Like that would undo everything. I miss you. I hate how this ended. I wasn't myself. What does that even mean? I wasn't myself. That's the thing that stuck with me most. Like cheating is something that just happens to you. Like it's a bad haircut. A mistake you can sweep under the rug with enough time and silence. I never responded. Not once. Because I knew deep down that if I cracked even a little, she'd slide right back in. She was good at that. Knowing when I was weak. Knowing which strings to pull, so I stayed quiet. Instead, I poured myself into work. Picked up extra shifts. Started running again in the mornings just to feel something. Just to prove I could keep moving forward, even if every step felt heavier than the last. Some days were harder than others. There were mornings I'd wake up and reach across the bed out of habit, only to find cold sheets. There were nights I sat in the dark, wondering what version of me could have been enough to make her stay. But then, slowly, it got easier. I started laughing more, sleeping better. I stopped checking her socials. I stopped imagining what I'd say if I ran into her again. I stopped feeling the need to prove anything. That's when I knew I was healing. Not because I moved on to someone else. I didn't. But because I stopped needing closure from the person who shattered me. The final message she ever sent said, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I hope one day you'll remember the good parts. And maybe I will. One day, but not yet. Because right now, I'm still sweeping up the glass from what she broke. And honestly, some pieces are better left on the floor. You know what still pisses me off? It's not the cheating, it's not even the lying. It's the way she made me feel crazy for trusting my gut. Every time I raised a concern, she flipped it on me. Every time I sensed something was wrong, she called it paranoia. Every time I caught a whiff of the truth, she buried it under guilt and gaslighting. And I believed her, because I loved her. I let love drown out my instincts. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Your gut doesn't lie. It whispers. It nags. It keeps score, even when your heart tries to erase the tally. So if you're watching this right now, wondering if you're overthinking, let me say this. You're not. You don't need hard proof to feel disrespected. You don't need screenshots to know when the energy's shifted. You don't need lipstick in the car to justify what your soul already knows. It took me months though. Stop blaming myself for what she chose to do. But I see it clearly now. Love is not supposed to make you feel small, or suspicious, or like you're auditioning every day just to keep someone's attention. Love should feel like peace. So if you're begging for scraps, apologizing for having standards, shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable, stop. Stop now. Walk away before you find yourself collecting proof in the glove box of someone else's lie. And her? She told me I was paranoid. But that lipstick never lied. If you've ever trusted someone too much and got burned for it, I see you. Hit subscribe for more real stories like this.